Sure. Hi, I'm Nick Bruno,
I'm Troy Quane.
and together we are.
Tronic. We do dance parties,
DJs,
weddings,
bar mitzvahs.
bar mitzvahs.
I enjoyed that even more the second time. That was so much fun. I'm looking forward to watching it a third time. I want to share some of the things that we talked about this morning. Now, you guys are not going to believe this, but I would like you to tell everybody, when did Will Smith and Tom Holland meet each other for the first time?
They met each other for the first time at the premiere after the movie had been done for 3 months.
So, they have such repartee in the film. Tell me a little bit about how you achieved that when they were never in the same room with each other or talking to each other.
Well, Troy and I are very talented actors as well. No, honestly, we knew it was buddy comedy. We wanted to have that sort of buddy banter, that sibling rivalry. So what we do is we would record with a Will. We'd read the script. Will is great at improvising. In fact, our entire cast is great at improvising, and we'd try to find natural ways to say things and fun rhythms. And we'd explore. We'd go off of the script a little bit, and then we'd take that, go to Tom, do the same thing, then take from Tom, go back to Will. We'd go back and forth. Those guys were so generous with their time, and they knew how important that chemistry was on screen to really feel that they're like their best friends. So yeah, we were incredibly lucky to get that time with them.
Yeah, and the way we would do that is we would read back to them. So we would read the lines in between their lines, so they just weren't saying lines in the cold. And if they started to improvise, we would improvise with them. We knew where we wanted the scenes to go, so it allowed us to allow them to stretch, and then we'd bring them back on point. And it was really exciting. I mean, got to act with Will Smith. How cool is that? And I brought a recording home for my kids. I said, look at Dad's acting with Will Smith. How great is that? I played it for them, and like, he's really good, Dad, but you're horrible. Kids don't care who you are, they're just
But you had to even be Will Smith when you were acting with Tom, right?
No, but it's
I can't even imagine that. So there are a lot of wonderful gadgets in this movie. I strongly suggest that as you do merch for the film, you might want to think about bringing some of those to life. Which of the gadgets would you most like to have?
For me, it's no contest. I want the multi-pen.
Yeah.
That thing is the coolest. I mean, even when I was a kid, the kid who had that pen that had all those colors was the coolest kid in class, right? Right? Yeah, I know. Everyone knows that. I mean, we all always try to push all the colors at once. Bad idea. But I mean, Walter's taken that really cool idea and he's made each color a different gadget. And it's basically the Swiss Army knife of gadgetry. It's so cool.
And what about you?
I have 3 kids, so you'd think I have the kitty glitter bomb in my house, but I don't. But I love the idea of that. I love, instead of something that will actually blow up, it's something that really makes people happy and brings them together. I love that idea.
Yeah, some people think that the entire purpose of the internet is cat videos. So,
It is.
Yeah.
It actually is.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the fun of Walter's gadgets. They seem really silly and kind of crazy, but they're all really effective. I mean, they work. So at first you go, this kid's just weird. Like a glitter bomb, a multi-pen, like those are just silly things, an inflatable hug, but they're effective. And it was really important for us that there was some balance of science in there. So all the science we talk about in turning lance into a bird, that's based on real science of how you would genetically change a single cell to a different cell. I mean, a pigeon would be much more difficult. But even the idea of kitty glitter and the kittens, watching them on the internet, the reason we enjoy that is they make us feel happy. There's an actual biological reaction happening. It's releasing serotonin, it's making you feel calm, it's making you feel happy. So we wanted to make sure that as Walter was creating this crazy stuff, it actually did have some correlation to real science, and that's part of the fun of Walter.
And everything that you said about pigeons and how they see is absolutely true as well.
Absolutely.
Everything that we mentioned about pigeons in this movie is a fact. Pigeons are in every major city around the world.
Fact.
We know they can fly, but they really can fly up to 92.7 miles per hour.
Also a fact.
Because they can fly so fast, they can see at a faster rate than the human eye can see. They can see in slow motion, which is pretty awesome.
Fact.
And I've been to Venice, and they really are all over the place.
They're everywhere. Oh, they're everywhere. There's a reason why we don't love them, especially if you have a shiny new car. But yeah, I mean, they're everywhere, and that's the beauty of Walter's idea.
Well, some of my favorite people are animators, and I love animated films. And there were 2 points that this movie made that that I thought probably came out of your experience as animators. One is the importance of a team, because as we see from the endless credits here,
Yeah.
you can't make an animated
It's
movie.
only 20 more minutes to go.
Don't pay attention to that. We need everything ourselves.
It's just our names over and over again.
All of it.
And I say this with love, animators are generally pretty weird.
Yes, yes. I answer with love. We are. I mean, I know when I was a kid, while most people were doing cool things, I was squirreled away in my room drawing pictures of Bart Simpson, and I was just a very weird kid. I'm not any less weird now. But yeah, no, but I think deep down we're all a little weird, and I think you know, a lot of people, especially when I was growing up, people follow the norm, what's accepted, and that's why things don't change. And it takes somebody to be different, a little weird, to move out of what's accepted and really spark something new and change the world.
I'm gonna ask one more question, then I'm gonna open it up, so I hope you guys have all got your questions ready. I grew up watching the movies of the 60s, and it seemed to me that I saw some love for that style of that sort of James Bond era where spies wore tuxedos and drank martinis. So tell me a little bit about the way you set the style for the film.
Yeah, this is a love letter to all those spy movies that we loved as kids and growing up, and hopefully bring to another generation of kids who are growing up. And it really was an inspiration, those James Bond with the big theme song, the real stylized sequence that went along with it. And the difference is our movie is animated, so we can make the whole movie feel stylized. We can bring that sort of classic vibe through the whole film, but we didn't want to make this feel like a throwback. We really wanted it to feel contemporary, current, of today's time. So we just learned from those movies and the old movie posters from Saul Bass and the color and the styling, and really brought those elements forward into today's time. But all the while paying homage to those movies we loved so much.
Wonderful. Okay, who's got a question out there? Yeah. Speak up so everybody.
So similar type of question, but it had to do with like the introduction scene, like the fight scene, and I was thinking the first thing that popped in my head was Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just wondering if that was like an inspiration type thing.
It actually was. We loved in that movie how she was so surrounded by all those, the Crazy Eights.
Yeah.
You know, we loved, especially because it's animated, we don't have stuntmen or we don't have to put anybody in harm. So we love the idea of how is one man going to get out of a sea of hundreds of Yakuza, and it's through a helicopter. That was just a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, we really want to make sure we set Lance up as that eponymous action hero who can somehow get out of crazy things, overwhelming odds, so that the audience is cheering for him and right behind him as he goes into the adventure. And that was important because Lance is he's the hero. He's a good guy, but he's got some dated ideas. And there's a couple moments where he doesn't do the most likable things, like fire Walter. So it was important to see that you have a big action sequence where you're cheering for him, so that carries you through some of his less positive decisions.
Other questions?
Yes, I have a three-part question.
Okay.
Ooh, three-part.
A trilogy.
Welcome to Washington.
Hollywood loves you. Hollywood loves you. If you've got a trilogy already, we're gold.
Trilogy. Okay, so the question is, did you find a story you wrote to, or did you have someone write the story for you? And how long did that take? Secondly, how long did the whole movie animation start to release take? And thirdly, what is the budget of the flick?
Yes. So next question. No, we both came to this movie. There was a first draft of the script written, and we read it, and it was about a spy got turned into a bird, and we both read it and said, that is the most ridiculous thing we've ever heard. It was just ridiculous enough to, get us curious about it. But the idea, we built into that. So it was written, but then Nick and I both like to explore and work with the writers and do some writing ourselves. We brought some new writers. So it really is animation is such a collaborative medium. There's no clearly defined, this part is done, and this part happens, and this part happens, because you have the script written, and you send it to your story team, and they'll explore a bit and come up with new ideas. And you give it to your animators, and they'll come up with new ideas. And then you'll bring in someone like Will Smith or Tom Holland, and it's their job to help bring these characters to life, so they'll have ideas. And it really is just a constantly evolving concept that you just keep building on and building on. And you have an idea. You watched, as a director, we both had watched the movie in our heads the minute we read that first draft. But your hope is, as you collaborate with more and more people, the movie gets to be better and better than you could have ever, a single mind could have ever imagined it to be, and that's sort of the growing thing. Timeline, just over 4 years, I think, start to finish. I mean, that's going from script through all the processes. Animation is not a quick process. You have to build everything. You have to build every piece of grass. You have to build air. We were talking to people about that earlier. It sounds ridiculous, but nothing exists. Everything you just watched, nothing's real, obviously. But hopefully the emotions and the reaction you had were real. And budget, that's somebody else's problem.
It was $10.
We spend the money, we don't ask about it.
I've got a couple more questions. One is the scene where the Japanese guy becomes boneless.
Kimura? Yeah.
I guess I want to know kind of what algorithm do you use? Was he like a waterbed, or was he like, how do you, what was the model for what he was like?
That's a very good question. To our technical teams, because there's a little bit of a simulation and there's a little bit of animators modeling the character per frame, it was usually somewhere between a water balloon and a frosting bag.
Oh.
Right, so it had some doughy consistency. If it needed to be wetter, it could be wetter for the jokes, and if it needed to be heavier, it could be heavier for the jokes. But somewhere in between those, this sounds really disgusting, doesn't it? But it landed somewhere in there, so it can lean either way for joke purposes.
Now, but the tricky thing, and in our infinite genius, we covered him in tattoos.
Right.
So you can't cheat that. Because as soon as you start cheating it, all those tattoos just go
Stretch.
into weird things. So
Wow.
it's a lot more complex than it probably even looks. But that was, we have a lot of people back in the studio who love us right now.
I can't even imagine how many lines of code went into that. That must have been crazy.
I couldn't even pretend to guess.
27.
Sure.
27.
It was 27.
And then I've got another question. I think I have kind of an idea of what the director of a live action film does, and you talked about directing the actors, and I'm familiar with that, but what does a director of an animated film do with regard to the visuals?
Basically, it's the same job overall as in live action. It's just the process that is different. So, like in a live action movie, your job is to have the overall vision for what the film is, sort of see it ahead of time, work with the writers to create the story, work with the actors to bring out the performances, work with your production designer and your set builders to create the world, work with your DP to come up with a camera style and the cinematography. You have all the same jobs and titles in an animated film. The only difference is animation is so expensive to make. Every shot is a VFX shot, so you pre-plan it. So in live action, you'll go on set and you'll shoot 300 hours of footage and then edit it down to the 90 to 2 hour minutes of your film. In animation, we have to plan each minute, so we pre-edit. We build in story. We use our story department a lot more extensively than you do in live action, because we only want to build and shoot what we're going to use, because it's so much more labor intensive and expensive. But at the end of the day, you're doing all the same process, working with your composer, your sound mixer, your post. It's just really it's the same job.
Just no cutting room floor.
Oh,
A lot gets cut, yeah.
Right, but not after it's shot.
No.
Right, okay. More questions from the audience. You were there right there, yeah. Wait, you got a mic coming.
Unless you yell.
So, living in this area, I appreciate that you set the film in DC. What kind of research did you guys do? And also, is the house in Alexandria a specific house, or is it
Great question. When we first started the film and we knew the general concept, what we do is we do research. So we actually came down here, Troy and I came down with our designers and some of our animators, and we really walked the streets. That's, again, sounds weird.
I apologize for him.
I'm sorry, I'm the inappropriate one. But really, it was to not just see the landmarks, but to experience the feel and the people and everything. Like, you know, we would study street signs. The only thing we really didn't pay much attention to is the traffic. Clearly there's a car chase scene, there's barely any cars on the road, but there would be no chase scene here in DC. But yeah, no, we even went through Alexandria. There wasn't a specific house, but we looked at the types of houses, the architecture, the neighborhoods. All that stuff was very important to us. Although, you know, Alexandria is a lot closer to the mall in our movie than it is in real life. But
And that was important because we wanted a grounding in reality for the movie. We turn a man into a pigeon. Right there is a ridiculous cartoony concept. So we need the world to feel kind of grounded and gritty so that the level of threat, of danger, of consequence was real, to offset that and really make it feel. So it was important that Venice felt recognizable. So whoever's been to Venice, our production designer has gone to Venice a number of times and had so many photo albums full of reference. And we just really wanted to make sure that those key locations felt true.
Yeah, I've always figured that there was some kind of a bunker underneath the reflecting pool.
you know there's not.
There's no
Yeah.
proof there isn't.
Well, Winter Soldier had one right next to it in
That's
the
not real.
Potomac, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that wasn't real.
That's not.
Okay,
That's crazy.
now, we tried calling in you before. Yes, go ahead.
I was gonna add on to the attention to detail.
Oh.
Some of the traffic signs on 395, or, a lot of times the movies that take place in DC are filmed elsewhere.
You know, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I belong to the DC Film Critics, and we gave out our awards for the best of the year this week before I saw this film. And one award that I'm very proud of, because I thought it up, that we give every year is the best portrayal of Washington in a movie. And this totally would have been a contender if we had seen it in
Just
time.
take it back.
Yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're fine with
Just
that.
give us an address, we'll go over.
We'll find it.
Yeah.
the report. Come on. All right, in the red, just yell it out.
Alright, first, let me just say, hi, it's great to see you guys again.
Hey, remember you from before, our animator friend.
Yeah, I personally know how hard it is for character design. How many times have you had to redraw each of the characters just before you guys decided you want to go with?
There's a lot of expert. I don't have a number, but a lot. And it was in search of a lot of things until we hit Lance. And we had Jason Sadler, our head character designer, drew this one character, and we were like, that guy is cool. He's got swagger, he's sexy. He's everything you want in a super spy. And from there, everything else, including the style of the world, started to evolve. He gave us an anchor point with the angular lines and the proportioning, and it really, now you can start building a world and a character that I can believably live in. Walter was definitely the most sought out character designer. It took us a long time to find him. He's a tricky character. He's a little bit socially awkward, he's a little goofy, but he's super smart. You never want him to come off as silly or ridiculous, because he's so earnest and there's a sincerity there. So that was a lot of circling and searching and finding, and it really locked into place. Once we got Tom as the voice, but yeah, it's a lot.
I think we got time for one more question. If we got a kid
There's
who
a
wants
little
to ask a
hand.
question, yeah,
A
there we
couple
go. In the blue.
Why did you choose Washington and France and Japan?
Great question. Well, Washington was easy. We wanted to create the world's greatest super spy. We knew we wanted him to be American, and we thought, well, where would the headquarters of an American agency be? Washington, D.C. seemed like a really smart place. It also has a lot of pigeons, right? Now, we started thinking we want to travel the world. Where else has a lot of pigeons? Venice, Italy is famous for all its pigeons. So we started looking at locations like that and started to find exotic locations that felt like they were far enough from each other to make it feel unique. Because we didn't ever want it to feel like you were talking, it's Washington D.C., but it's not. It's really Toronto with Washington signage. We didn't want Venice to feel like Washington just with Italian signs. We really wanted each location to have a personality and be unique. So we started looking for places that had pigeons and things that felt unique from one another. You had a question.
I was
Excuse
gonna
me.
ask, was there ever a different name for the movie, or did you guys just always have that name? Because I know with some movies they end up changing the
Yes,
name a lot.
it used to be called Pigeon Impossible.
Yes.
I know, it's a great title, right?
And then as we're making, we give them code names, which I can't tell you because they're classified. But we do that so that if the project slips out into the world, people don't say, "Oh, wait, that's this movie." So you always give them a little code name that everyone working on it knows, but the public doesn't know.
All right, one more, go ahead, that'll be our last one.
There's a short film called Pigeon Impossible,
Mhm.
and is this based off of that?
It is. It's loosely based off that. Yeah, that was a short that some creative executives, you know, creative executives, right? Some Hollywood people saw. They thought that was really funny and charming, and they're like, I wonder if there's some way to turn that into a movie. It'd be great to do a spy movie.
So we took that idea and we kept building off of it and exploring it and making it bigger and making it a little bit different, and you just grow from there.
All right, one more round of applause for Nick and Troy.
I think we're gonna do a selfie.
Yeah.
Does anybody, who wants to do a selfie? Come on. Everyone wants to do a selfie. I like the enthusiasm right there. All right, so we're gonna do a selfie. You guys take this.